we should be, are you saying we should be directable always?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Through the whole process. I think we talked about it in auditions too.
We did?
Be directable in the audition when they tell you to be to act like a businesswoman.
As a 5-year-old.
As a 5-year-old. Okay, do it. You just do it. You try. You try.
Yeah.
So, who has the vision for the show, Miss O'Neill?
Oh my goodness. Who has the vision? The directing team.
Oh, it's not the lead actor?
Oh, no. No. Oh.
They might understand the correct vision, but they're not the ones leading the vision.
You understand the correct vision if you are following the directorial vision.
Ding, 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 ding.
Because there's a correct vision.
Yes.
For sure. Your directorial team has a vision for the show.
Yes.
And the thing is, they have a vision for the entire show.
Yes.
Which means every single person on stage, how they interact with each other, the lighting, the sound, the fog, the costumes, everything. They have a vision. They have a reason for the show.
Absolutely.
And we honestly think very, very hard about our reasons for shows. And we think about things like, what is that thing? What is that message that we want our audience to walk away with? I think Big Fish was just one of those moments of wanting, we knew that lives could really be changed with that show.
Right.
And we were constantly in conversation about the set even. Oh, that shifted because suddenly we want people to think about perspective and what you're seeing in life. And art has an impact on people. I'm getting on another topic right now, but
it's so true. We could talk forever.
But the point behind that is your directorial team has a vision for the entire show.
Yes.
From the moment the audience walks into the theater to the moment they leave the theater, they have a vision. And so that's the vision that has to be followed. And so when we as performers get our own individual vision that's not in alignment with that, suddenly the message is not being told right.
Right. Because you have to remember that if you gave the same show to 5 different directors and they put it on, you'd have 5 different visions.
Yep.
And they'd all be right for that production.
Right.
For that cast, for that space, for the talent, for whatever they had, those things would be right for that community. They would be, that would be right. However, the best thing to do for everything to follow that director, even though you could be in the cast and say, I really wish they'd make this decision because it would be so much better. It may throw off the whole vision because sometimes when you're in the cast, you're not seeing the whole vision.
Right.
And even if you were, and even if you had a better idea, the director is the director.
Yep.
And the director needs to be the director.
Yes.
So that the whole thing can come together.
Yes.
Sometimes, hey, what do we do when we are in the cast?
Okay.
And we have a question or an idea.
Yeah.
About the vision or about our character.
Oh.
Do we just like suppress that, throw it away, and let the director handle it?
No.
Or is there a way to talk to the director?
For sure. You need to be able to talk to the director.
I love that.
Any of the directorial team, the choreographer, the vocal director, the stage manager technically is part of that team too. And sometimes they're, maybe not for that question, but for some questions like, I'm confused about my blocking.
Right.
You should go to the stage manager before you talk to the director and be able to say, I'm just confused. I want to clarify this right now so that I have it right. That's showing initiative, not getting to that rehearsal moment and then just saying, I don't know where to go. But okay, so you have an idea that you think is great and wonderful. There is an appropriate way. It is not during rehearsal to say,
no,
while other people are there, to say, can I do this instead? Your director, if they don't take a moment, might just react and say no. And they might just say no because you've just tried to overshoot what their directorial vision.
That's true. You might get shut down just because they're on a path and they're directing the scene the way they're directing the scene, and you have an idea. No, I gotta go.
Yep.
I don't have time for that.
I am here. I'm thinking about 50 people right now. I can't think about that. And so, for one, your idea that might be brilliant and wonderful might just get pushed aside because it's the wrong time.
Right.
But after rehearsal, coming up to the director and saying, hey, I have a question or I have an idea and I wanted to run it by you. Not I have an idea and this is how it's going to be.
Right.
I wanted to run it by you and see if this would work with the vision of the show.
Right.
Oh, I'm open to hear it now.
Yes.
It's an appropriate time and it was asked in an appropriate way.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a big deal. But also be prepared for the director to say, thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
That's a great idea. One of my mentors as a worship leader, his name is Rick. He's been a worship leader for like 30 years, 40 years maybe. And he's one of the best people at accepting ideas and then turning them down if he needs to.
Yeah.
He says, thank you, but we're not going to do that. That's it. Simple. So you might get that. You might get that response.
Yes.
And that's okay.
And I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was going to go back to something.
And in all honesty, it needs to end there.
It does. Oh,
There's
that's
no
so
argument
good.
back.
If it's shut down by the director, and it's just obviously if it's a big like safety issue, then that's different.
That's different.
We're not talking about.
Or if it's like a moral issue.
Yeah.
But
if you have
it is that
problem with doing a certain scene in a professional show, that's different. That's different. We're not talking about that.
Different.
We'll talk about that sometime.
We can,
That's good. But we're talking about artistic vision, like your vision for the character or for the show. If the director shuts it down, go with it.
Yep.
Let it be shut down.
Yeah.
Move forward.
Yeah.
Move on. Do what the director wants you to do. I want to go back a little bit.
Yep.
In the rehearsal process, sometimes the director will say, because I've done this, hold on for a second. I need to think about how we're going to do this. That's not an invitation to say, I have an idea, let's do it like this. That's a hold on for a minute, let me think about this.
Right.
Sometimes I will say as a director, does anyone have an idea? That's an invitation.
That is an invitation.
I have had someone do this as well. I've said, hold on for a second, let me think about it. I've had someone respectfully say, are you taking ideas?
Ooh.
And I said, no, or yes. And I can say yes, either right now, or yes, you can tell me later.
Yeah.
But I like that. Like, I wouldn't say do that, make a habit of that and do it all the time. But if you're going to shout out an idea, just stop and say, and ask the question, are you taking ideas? And if they say no, then they're done. That's all.
Because the truth is, theater or music or the combination of both, it's this living art. So it's one thing if we're painting a canvas,
right? We
can pause, step back, and figure out what shade of blue to paint the sky, and then go back to it, right? But that's the canvas being painted. Well, this living, breathing art, sometimes we need to pause, step back, and go, did that work? Do it again.
Right.
Do it one more time. And we are processing in our brain if it is the best shade of blue.
Right.
Just like
That's
that canvas.
Right. I love that.
We are processing this living, working thing that we have written down all these notes as to how it should look, but suddenly it's up there and I need to see it 5 times before I've decided that it should work. Or, we've had this happen. One of my favorite moments when we did Little Women, and suddenly, if you've done a show with Mr. Human and myself, you know that we only like blackouts if they are helping to tell the story. Other than that, we don't do blackouts on the stage, and that's the truth, unless it's part of the story.
The goal, yeah.
Right. So there was this moment where we needed to transition something on stage, and the easy approach would have been to say, blackout for a minute, which breaks the story, right? Suddenly your story has just stopped being told. So instead, we stopped, we thought, and suddenly we created a new scene that had no lines in it, but it was this new transition, but it took a second. Right? You give your directors a minute to observe, take it in, and figure out, is that the best approach?
Right. And I think overall what we're saying is not that we're, as directors, we're not closed off to your ideas as performers. Some directors are.
Some directors are. And you should know that.
And you should know that. And you'll learn right away.
Yeah.
But we try not to be, because we know that we don't have all the ideas.
We don't.
And we are always doing our best to tell the story with the most impact. From beginning to end, with all the pieces in the middle.
Right.
So, yeah, just know, it's really etiquette, really.
Yes.
When to say and what to say.
Right.
It's good.
And how to say it.
Yeah, true.
And if you really want, this is a life lesson, honestly.
Yeah.
In your job, if your boss has something and you have a different idea, there's the appropriate time to give that idea.
Yeah.
And it's usually not in the middle of the meeting with everybody else there.
Yeah, true.
Because those are the moments you're most likely just going to get shut down. Yeah. Oh, man. So good. Ooh.